I want to talk to you now about IRS Form 1040, line by line instructions, how to file the basic income tax form. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Sweetie Keyword Show. How are you today? I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous, if you're to ask me. And if you are doing as superb as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. In today's conversation, I want to go back to the most basic income tax form 1040. Everybody knows it. Everybody has heard about it. Everybody uses it. And during tax season, it is very important to provide a very basic, easy peasy resource for people for taxpayers who need information about filing taxes. So today's show, I'm going to give you the key takeaways of today's show. There are 4 key takeaways. If you say you don't have time to go all the way to the end of today's show, I want you to remember this. Everyone uses the same Form 1040 except non-resident aliens. And Form 1040 is short as just 38 lines, but you need to attach additional schedules, forms if you have certain types of income, credits, or deductions. You can file your 2020 taxes between February 12, 2021 and April 15, 2021. And IRS outlines the steps to speed refunds during the pandemic. And all federal income taxes go to the Internal Revenue Service, but your state, and this is very important, folks, your state may have its own income taxes and forms. And IRS Form 1040 is the basic income tax form that everybody must use. There are 2 main exceptions. You have the non-resident alien. They use 1040 NR. And the single filers whose earned income from the year is less than the standard deduction likely don't need to file a return. And seniors also have the option to file Form 1040 SR. And its SR, 1040 SR is nearly identical to the standard 1040, but its language is tailored to taxpayers who are 65 years and older. And the 2020 Form 1040 is a 2-page form that's greatly simplified from years past because of the 2017 tax reform. However, and based on our analysis, we found that there are many additional forms and schedules you may need to attach. Let me kind of give you very quickly here the key filing season dates. There are several important dates taxpayers should keep in mind for this year's filing season. You have January 15th. That's where the IRS free file opens, so taxpayers can begin filing returns for free. They can do this through Free File Partners, and the tax returns will be transmitted to the IRS starting February 12th. And tax software companies also are accepting tax filings in advance. January 29th, you have the Earned Income Tax Credit Awareness Day to raise awareness of valuable tax credits available to many people, including the option to use prior year income to qualify. February 12th, you have the IRS begins the 2021 tax season, so individual tax returns begin being accepted and processing begins. February 22nd, the projected date for the IRS.gov Where's My Refund tool being updated for those claiming EITC and ACTC, also referred to as PATH returns. And the first week of March, tax refunds begin reaching those claiming EITC and ACTC for those who file electronically with direct deposit and there are no issues with their tax returns. And the deadline for filing 2020 tax returns is April 15th. And October 15th is the deadline to file for those requesting an extension on their 2020 tax returns. So I just want to say that 99% of this tutorial also applies to the 2021 tax season. So we have the 2020 tax season and the 2021 tax season. If you need more info and you want to have an idea of the Form 1040, you can go and download it right now. You go to the IRS websites and www.irs.gov, pub irs.pdf 1040. We're showing the link on the screen. So, how to file Form 1040? So, as long as you are filing a current income tax return, the easiest way to file is electronically through an online tax filing service. And e-filing is also safer because guess what? You don't have to worry about anything getting lost in the mail, right? I mean, that's a main concern for a lot of people. And it's also easier because online e-filing services will guide you through the filing process. And the IRS estimates that 21% of paper returns have errors, while less than 1% of e-filed returns have mistakes. So e-filing also takes the IRS significantly less time to process. So opting for direct deposit means that what? It means your refund arrives weeks or even months sooner. So if you're filing back taxes for a previous tax year, you need to fill out a paper form and mail it to the IRS. Right now, no e-filing service allows you to file electronically back taxes. And when to file your 1040? I think I've already given you the dates here, but you can start filing your 2020 taxes in January 21 to 20. You can start filing your 2020 taxes in January 2021, but the season itself officially opens on February 12th. And then you have until April 15, 2021, tax day, to submit your return to the IRS. If you need more time, and we have covered this on other shows, you can request a 6-month tax extension from the IRS. And this basically gives you until October 15th, 2021 to file. And everyone automatically gets an extension if they request one. Just keep in mind that if you owe taxes though, you still need to pay them by tax day. All right? The extension gives you more time to file, but not more time to pay. And if you fail to pay your bill on time, guess what will happen? The IRS will levy hefty penalties and fees on you. And I'm not even talking about interest, because you will be owing interest. Not only would you be owing the debts, the tax debt, but you'll also be having a situation where interest will accrue on the debts. And where to mail Form 1040 if you decide to actually do things manually. If anyone can file a paper form instead of e-filing. But again, as I said earlier, the IRS does not recommend it. It takes longer to process and it's more prone to mistakes. And if you're filing back taxes or an amended tax return, you will need to file a paper form. So where you send a paper form depends on where you live. And remember that the amended returns may have different mailing addresses. So if you want to file an amended return, you can either check our show about the Form 1040X, or you can go to the IRS website and look for Form 1040-X. There are instructions there, and they provide information about the address where you need to send your info. So right now I'm showing you two tables on the screen. So first we have Form 1040 and Form 1040-SR, addresses for taxpayers living within the 50 states. So we're going to show you the first table. So if you live in Alaska all the way to Wyoming, that's the first table. And then if you live in Arkansas all the way to Texas, we're showing you this is the second table you can see on the screen right now. What about filing for prior taxes, for prior years rather? So as I said, if you have back taxes, in other words, taxes from a previous year, you can only file by mailing a physical form. You cannot e-file federal tax returns from previous years. The Form 1040 had 3 versions for tax years before 2018. The 1040 Easy was for simple tax returns. The 1040A allowed filers to claim additional tax credits, and the standard 1040 covered more complex situations like filers who itemized deductions. And this is all in addition to the 1040 NR that I spoke about and 1040 NR Easy for non-resident aliens. The IRS website has all previous years' tax forms and instructions. So the one thing that's very important is that you need to make sure you are following the correct instructions. So unless you have a very simple tax return, you may want to work with a tax preparer. Okay? And if you need copies of old tax forms like W-2 forms or 1099s. You can get those from the IRS by requesting a free tax transcript. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another section of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi, the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. I'm talking to you today about IRS Form 1040. I'm giving you line-by-line instructions. Let's get into it. The 2020 IRS Form 1040 is a relatively simple 2-page form. There are a few sections at the beginning and then 38 numbered lines. You will need to add other forms to claim tax credits and any deductions beside the standard deduction. So if you're e-filing, it's pretty easy. The filing service will walk you through the entire process and attach all of the necessary documents. However, it's still useful to understand exactly what you're doing when you file, right? So first we need the personal information, and I'm showing you right now on the screen. You can see right now you have the Form 1040 personal information. Look right now on the screen. So the first section of the form before the number line starts is for your personal information. So this includes your filing status, name, address, and social security number. There is also room for your spouse's information if you're filing a joint return. And aliens can enter an individual taxpayer identification number, an ITIN, on the social security line. So on the social line, you can actually enter your ITIN. So if you would like to donate $3 to the presidential election campaign fund, you can opt to do so. No problem here. And donations are divided equally between the Democratic and Republican nominee in the next general election. So don't worry about your money going to the wrong candidate, quote unquote, wrong candidate. And next, there is a section about your standard deduction. Okay, so the amount of your standard deduction varies based on your filing status, age, and whether or not you are blind. So this section of the 1040 has 7 boxes to help show the amount of your standard deduction. And the cool thing here is that you just go ahead and check the ones that apply to you. And also joint filers should check the boxes if they apply to their spouse, to either spouse rather. Okay, and the section on your dependents has room for each of their social security numbers, their relationship to you, and then a box you can check if the dependent qualifies you for the child tax credit or credit for other dependents. And we have actually covered the ITIN and the child tax credit on other shows, but again, those are important elements because checking the right tax credit can help lower your income tax debt. So you have to be very careful there. Speaking about tax credit, I want to quickly delve into the child tax credit. Let me give you a quick fact. So the child tax credit is a tax break for parents and guardians with children under age 17 who have a social security number. So the child tax credit is worth up to $2,000 per qualifying child, but you must fall within certain income limits. So for 2020 and 2021, you can claim the full child tax credit if your income is $200,000 or less, and that's $400,000 for married couples filing jointly. You may still qualify for a partial credit if your income is above that limit. Okay, now, and there is actually a second part of the child tax credit, which is called the credit for other dependents. And this allows you to deduct up to $500 per dependent you have who doesn't qualify for the child tax credit. So you can claim the you can claim the ODC, the other dependent credits, if you care for an aging parent, for example, or if you pay to care for someone who doesn't live with you. Okay, and if the child tax credit lowers the amount of annual income tax you owe below zero, causing you not to get the full credit you are eligible for, you may be able to get a refund by taking the additional child tax credit, the ACTC. And the cool thing here is that you can actually claim the child tax credit right on Form 1040, and you don't need to attach any additional forms unless you claim the additional child tax credit, which requires Schedule 8812. Okay, And now, who qualifies for the child tax credit? Now, the child tax credit is available to parents and guardians. I said that before, who pay to care for a child. You can qualify to claim if you can qualify to claim it if you meet two main criteria, only two. You had a qualifying child, and your income is within the limits. Okay, very, very important. Next, I want you to look at on the screen right now, and we're going to talk about calculating your taxable income. So I want you to pay attention right now on the screen, and I'm going to go through line 1 through 7. So line 1 through 9 actually help you calculate your total income for the year. So each line asks you to enter the amount you made from a different type of income, right? So then you will make any necessary adjustments before, let's say, determining how much of your income was actually taxable. One thing you have to remember here is that if a line does not apply to you, either you want to leave it blank or you write in a 0. We prefer writing in a 0 so the IRS knows that the line was looked at and that you judged that it was 0. You can also round all values to the nearest dollar, whether up or down, before writing them on the line. And line 1 is for all income reported on your W-2 forms, which you should attach when you file, okay? Line 2 has 2 parts. So you have one for tax-exempt interest, mainly munis, municipal bonds, and one for taxable interest. So taxable interest includes income from a 1099 INT or 1099 OID. You would need to attach Schedule B if you had $1,500 or more of taxable interest or ordinary dividends. Line 3 is where you list income from dividends. So line 3A is for qualified dividends and line 3B is for ordinary dividends. And you will need to attach Schedule B if you have income from a 1099 div. Line 4 is for income from IRA distributions. And you will write the total income from these sources and then how much is actually taxable. You have all this info. And line 5 is kind of similar. It's for your income from pensions and annuities, okay? And you here also same procedure. You will write the total income from these sources and then how much is taxable, actually taxable. Line 6 here we have pensions and line 6 rather we have Social Security benefits. All right, and you will write the total income also from these sources, all the benefits that you got during the year, and you have to show how much is actually taxable. And line 7, line 7 asks your capital gains and or losses from the past year. Now there are and please look at the screen right now and see the form as I'm just going, because this is a line by line instruction, and I want to make sure you're following actually what I'm saying here. So line 7 asks about your capital gains or losses, right, from the past year, from 2020. So 2 common reasons to have capital gains are that you sold stock investments or you sold your house, and you likely received a 1099B or 1099S if you had capital gains, and you will probably need to attach Schedule D to your 1040. So now I want to talk to you about line 8. So line 8 is actually where you write any additional income you made during the year. Okay, and this is kind of very important if you want to be accurate here. So this includes everything not included in the previous lines. If you have other income, you will also need to attach Schedule 1. And line 9 is where you add up all the lines thus far to find your total income, also known as your gross income, your GI. Now, line 10 is where you write how much your income should be adjusted, right, if at all. So income adjustments include certain expenses you incurred that are eligible to exclude from your income. So you can track this this income sources on Schedule 1, and common adjustments to income include things like alimony payments, a deduction for IRA contributions, and the student loan interest deduction. So your income after subtracting all the adjustment is what specialists call AGI, your adjusted gross income. So actually line 11 shows your adjusted gross income by subtracting line 10C, right? Total adjustment to income from line 9, your total income. So what about line 12? Let's move on. Line 12, you have, it asks you to write in either the amount of the standard deduction or your itemized deduction. So most people will take the standard deduction, which varies based on your filing status and is listed on the form right next to this line, though you will get an additional deduction if you are over 65 or blind. So only about, give or take, 10% of taxpayers qualify to itemize after the 2017 tax reform. So if you itemize, you need to complete Schedule A. And line 13 actually is for anyone using the Qualified Business Income Deduction, the QBI. So you will need to attach either Form 8995 or Form 8995A to take this deduction. And on line 14, you want to add the previous lines to find your taxable income, which is your adjusted income minus the qualified business income deduction. The QBI is equal to 20% of your business income, right? And but we covered that in another show. And line 15 shows your taxable income. So if it's equal to 0 or less, you want to enter 0. Don't leave it blank. You need to enter 0. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another section of the Awesome Sweetie Kiwi Show. We are still having a conversation about the IRS Form 1040. I'm giving you line-by-line instructions. Now, let's next, I want you to look at the screen right now. We have a snapshot of the form on the screen. So, calculating your annual tax bill. So, on line 16, you show how much tax you paid throughout the year. And let's talk about claiming credits and deductions. Line 19 is for claiming the child tax credit and the credit for any non-child dependents. 19. So you'll need to complete and attach Form 8862. 8862 here. The child tax credit is non-refundable, which means you will not get any money back if the amount you owe is less than 0. This is important to know because people sometimes confuse this. And on line 13, you want to report additional taxes you owe. Line 23. Additional taxes you owe, including the self-employment tax, the alternative minimum tax, and any repayment you need to make for excess advanced premium tax credit. And any type of tax you report here will require attaching an additional form. And you want to add line 22 and 23. The results goes on line 24 and tells you your total tax. And this is the amount of tax you actually owe for the year. And then we have line 25. Line 25 asks for the income taxes that employers already withheld from your pay. So withholding will be on your W-2 forms and 1099 forms. And on line 26, you want to enter your 2020 estimated tax payments and the amount applied from 2019 return. And from 27 to 30, those four lines, 27 to 30, apply to people who can claim certain refundable tax credits. I'm talking about the earned income credits, right? The EIC, the additional child tax credit, the ACTC, the American Opportunity Tax Credit, the AOTC, and the recovery rebate credit. We have actually covered all those credits in other shows, so you might want to just avail yourself of those shows. And quick thing I want to say here is that these credits, the 4 credits I just mentioned, directly decrease the amount of tax you owe for the year, because in the eyes of the IRS, the value you get from this credit is the same as already having paid that amount through income tax withholding. And moving on, we have line 32. It asks you to add the totals from line 27 to 31. The result is called your total other payments and refundable credits. And line 33 instructs you to add the totals from line 25D, 25, 26, and 32 to calculate your total payments, which means the total tax you have already paid. And talking about your calculating your tax refund or bill, And I want to show you right now. So you have online. So if the tax you paid, line 33 is more than the tax you owed, line 24, you'll get a refund. And you want to calculate your refund amount by subtracting line 24 from line 33 and then writing the results on line 34. And line 35, this is for direct deposit of your refund. So you will write, you want to key in your bank account number, the bank routing number, and what kind of account it is, savings or checking. And you can divide the refund among multiple accounts or opt for a paper check with Form 8888. And line 36, are you following with me now? Okay. So this line is actually for people who want to apply some or all of the refund to their 2021 estimated taxes. So anyone who owes money will fill out line 37 by subtracting line 33 from 24. So any penalty you owe on that bill goes on line 38. You will owe a penalty if your tax bill is $1,000 or more, and you could also owe a penalty if the tax you paid during the year was less than 90% of the total you owed. So this is very important. So once you do that, you just have to sign, seal, and deliver. And the final part of the Form 1040 is, you can see this on the screen right now, is for signature. So you will sign, date, and then write your occupation. Any tax preparer you worked with will also sign. If you want to allow anyone to talk with the IRS about the return on your behalf, you can add their name in the third-party designee section. And the designee can include a friend or a family member who the IRS is authorized to contact if they have questions about your return or missing forms. All right. And remember, though, anyone mailing their return can find the proper mailing address we showed earlier. And we're just showing it here again on the screen. So you can see this on the screen. We're showing you the first form, the first mailing address, the first table for mailing addresses, and the second one. So we recommend, and the IRS recommends, that everybody file their the tax return electronically. But if you have, for any reason, if you must mailing a paper return, check out the addresses that I just gave you. All right, folks, this was it for today's conversation. I really appreciated your attention. I was talking to you about a couple of things today. We covered a lot of stuff, and I was talking to you about how to file Form 1040, when to file that form, where to mail your form, filing for prior years, and I gave you line by line Form 1040 instructions. I will speak to you another time, but until then, remember, stay marvelous.